Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Unstoppable Success. This is the podcast where we hear from amazing leaders and influential professionals who are having unstoppable success. I'm your host, Jaclyn Strominger, and today I get to introduce you to somebody I truly love, Kathleen Tullie. Let me tell you a little bit about Kathleen. She was the head of social purpose at Reebok International from 2010 to March of 2022. She is the founder and executive director of Box Kids. But prior to joining Reebok, Kathleen had founded the Box program. Originally, it was known as Fit Kids. Now it's actually known as Active Kids, but we're going to talk about that. But she spent an entire 18-year career in real estate finance before she started an amazing program to help our kids get healthy. Lots to dive in on this, but she has truly had unstoppable success. So welcome, Kathleen. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Jaclyn. I'm not sure I would say I'd have unstoppable success, but
Yes,
yeah, we've had some success. But thank you for giving me those kudos.
Yeah, no, but truly. So take everybody back a little bit, because I know some of your history, but we want to let everybody know you were in corporate finance. So what made you go from the finance world to the active world, other than the fact that I also know that you and I used to run together? So
yeah, that was nice to have you in the neighborhood for running. So my husband and I lived overseas in Japan and Scotland, and over there I was buying non-performing loans. And then when I moved back here, I was still working in the finance world, and I had a cancer diagnosis when my kids were really young. And so I decided to be a stay-at-home mom and be with my kids. Well, that lasted for about 2 weeks. And I came across the book Spark, written by Dr. John Ratey, who's a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. And Dr. Ratey speaks about the profound impact that exercise has on kids, that if you run around for 10 to 15 minutes, you do better in school, you're happier, you're healthier. And in his book, Spark, which I highly recommend anybody should read, he follows Naperville, Illinois, where they instituted 0-hour PE. So the principal and the PE teacher instituted where every child works out for an hour before school and plays and runs. Within a year, Jaclyn, they were seeing a decrease in disciplinary issues, a decrease in nurse visits. Kids were doing better in academics. They actually surpassed Singapore in math and science, which is unheard of for a U.S. school system to surpass math and science. And so I thought, well, this is just like a no-brainer. Like, kids were built to move. We were designed to move. Like, why aren't we letting? And this is actually before, this isn't, this 2009, 2010, like where the phone addiction hadn't even come in yet. But even then we knew we had an obesity issue, we had a mental health issue, and screens were slowly starting to creep in. And so at that time, my kids were young. I had a pre-K and a first grader. And I went to my neighbors and to the other moms in the school, and I said, school doesn't start till 9 a.m. and I have all these kids on my front lawn playing, and then they get on a bus and sit for 40 minutes. Why don't the moms and dads who are stay-at-home moms and dads show up an hour before school and let other parents drop off their kids so they can go to work? And we start, for school physical activity program. So I got some moms on board, and Jaclyn, I'm pretty sure you were probably one of the first volunteers as well. And so we went to the principal. The principal, Bev McCloskey, did not like the idea at first. So we went to the superintendent, who we knew was a triathlete, and he said, I love the idea. I brought him the book. I highly recommend, if you're trying to sell somebody an idea, show them the success in a book. So we went back and talked to Mrs. McCloskey, and she said, okay, do it, fine. And we sent out a note to all the parents saying, if you drop your kids off an hour before school, it shows they'll be happier and healthier. And so we had 82 kids sign up in that first week. And it was free. It was free babysitting. So we were literally just showing up with hula hoops, whistles, balls, dogs, and playing kickball games and tag games and relay races. And parents and teachers started to say, geez, my kids are sleeping better at school. Sleeping better at night. The kids are more focused in school. And so what I call word of mom started to spread, and other communities reached out to me for a copy of our curriculum. And so at that moment, we kind of had our aha moment, like, well, maybe we should, design a nonprofit, apply for a nonprofit, create a curriculum. At the time, most of the moms involved were all into either CrossFit or some other gym in the local area. So we worked with the experts in the area, and we put together a functional fitness curriculum. And then about a year later, I went to Reebok, and I begged, borrowed, and pleaded for a 10-minute meeting with the CEO. And so we went in there on a Friday night, and he said, I'll give you 10 minutes. And we were there for 2.5 hours with the CEO, Uli Becker, and the chief marketing officer, Matt O'Toole. They say, we actually love what you did. You've created something that the sporting goods industry has failed at. The sporting goods industry has created a culture of spectators, and we need to reverse that and create a culture of participants. And there's no better way than to start with youth and moms. So why don't you come in-house, and we'll build this program in the Boston area. So after a few months, we decided to go in-house. And the idea, Jaclyn, was to build the program just in the Boston area. And it quickly grew into an international program. Canada gave us a $5 million, the Canadian government of Canada and the CFL gave us a $5 million grant over 5 years to get into 400 schools. We got into 4,000 schools. In Massachusetts, I want to say we were probably in 30% of the schools. In Boston, at one point, we were in all of their elementary schools. In Natick, we were in all of the elementary schools with wait lists at some of them. And it morphed into an interesting model where the suburban model, or more middle income to upper income, was run by parent volunteers. The low income areas, you could not find those parent volunteers. So we were providing stipends of about $5,000 per school to pay for 2 trainers. And sometimes it was the PE teacher or the school nurse. But those teachers would run the program 2 to 3 mornings a week before, during, or after school. And so we were really lucky. We had these big training events at Reebok, and we had parents coming from all over the New England area to do a training. We wanted to make sure the barriers were not big, that it was just basically giving adults the confidence to put some music on and let kids run and play and have the kids find their inner athlete. Like, kids learn their habits by age 8. And if they're not excited about movement and feeling confident, they're not going to love them. They're not going to go on to be future sports people. And not that everybody has to be a sports person, but everybody should feel confident in their body and strong. Right. And so
movement is so important. And I know you were talking about kids, but I feel like this has just been my MO forever, which has always been get up in the morning and work out, partly because it gets your brain going. And I can always tell you, like, it's a huge difference. And we have a mutual friend, my friend Mariana Kogan, who I absolutely love. And she used to say to me, you're insane because you told me you didn't get that much sleep and you're still working out. I'm like, yeah, because it's going to help me power through my day.
Oh, yeah. My mood is totally different on the days that I do run versus the days that I don't. And that's, Dr. Rady talks about that. And, the endorphins, your norepinephrine, serotonin, dopamine. It immediately starts to activate the minute you start moving. And it doesn't have to be intense or something you don't like. It could be climbing a tree or, playing hopscotch. It's just, that's what our bodies were designed to do. So the other thing that Uli Becker and Matt O'Toole were really interested in was, we knew the evidence was there, but they thought we needed to prove it. So we hired Mass General Hospital, Harvard, Dalhousie, University of Canada, Wayne Westcott, American Council on Exercise, so many different groups who did long-term studies on the efficacy and the impact of the program. So they looked at the impact that these kids had, and it proved that kids did better in school. They dropped their BMIs. They had less discipline issues. So mental health, like they were more able to focus. I loved Dr. Georgia Hall out of Wellesley College, who was with National Institute of Out of School Time. She was one of our first studies. And you might remember this study where we put accelerometers on all the kids at Memorial. And she was like, she thought one of the best results out of that was proving that kids could figure out how to self-regulate better.
Oh, yeah.
And who, in this day and age, like kids need that so much. So, so it was great. And then Sun Life sponsored us in Indonesia, and the United Sports Foundation in Japan sponsored us after Fukushima happened. And so it really grew. Unfortunately, COVID hit. And I think not only myself, but other nonprofits like Playworks, Girls on the Run, we all took kind of a hit. And then, as you know, the biggest hit I took was that Reebok was sold by Adidas to Authentic Brands Group. And with that went my budget, a team of 24, and my license that I had signed over to Reebok. So Authentic Brands Group, about a year after the sale in 2023, they said, we're going to give you back the license, but you have to change the name from Box to Active Kids with a very small amount of funding. So I continue the program. I'm very passionate about it. It's so simple. Like kids just need to move. And I am psyched that this administration is focusing on physical activity, and that yesterday they announced from the White House that they are bringing back the presidential youth fitness test. I think a lot of people will appreciate that we do need some accountability. I know some people are worried that, it might be too strict or too competitive. But I think that, that's depending on the design and how it's designed and how it's delivered. But Jaclyn, we have to do something. Like PE teachers are at the bottom of the totem pole. They deserve to be at the top. They're taking care of the health and wellness of our kids. And if kids aren't healthy, they can't thrive and learn. So we need to put PE teachers on the pedestal. We need to bring back the resources. And you know that most school budgets have $0 for PE. It's horrible. Maybe, I shouldn't say zero, but not anything worth it.
And it's so interesting, and I keep thinking about this. It's like, I remember, when we were in elementary school and in middle school, we still had recess.
Yeah.
Right. And then somewhere they reduced that. And then in some middle schools, it even went away. And then, high school, that's a little different because of all the additional sport programs that they have, but not everybody is in a sport. And we had high school athletics. I remember, we still had high school PE.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Yeah, it is. And now they take away recess for punishment, which is the worst policy ever, because those kids who are getting in trouble, what they really need to do is go hang on a monkey bar and run around the playground. Right. There's nothing wrong with them except for that they have a lot of energy and they're, being put in front of computers. And I mean, the statistics show, and even our next door neighbors, I have a 12-year-old, who lives next to me, and she says that she, a lot of the times in school, has headaches because she's just staring at a screen all day. Like,
Yeah.
how natural is that?
Oh, it's horrible. So there's something that I'm kind of, I curious about too. And you probably have seen this, but we've lost certain things in our in the playground. So swings, things that spin. There's things that have just gone, like like the monkey bars. They're all needed.
They are needed. Well, I think it goes with, I don't know if you've read Jonathan Hadd's book. He's written two, which are fantastic. One is called The Coddling of the American Mind. I think that's what it's called. And the other is The Anxious Generation. But in The Coddling of the American Mind, he said, we've made life too safe for these kids. We don't allow them to go out and play, and we've taken off anything dangerous out in the playground. And so we've created kids who are really nervous that they can't go out and find these confidence, and they can't build the motor skills or the muscles that they were to do. And in the Anxious Generation, he draws the parallel to screens and the rise in depression and suicide and anxiety. And there's a direct correlation.
Yeah. I just remember hearing, like, when swings are going away, that I was surprised, because I remember reading that back and forth motion is something that we needed for brain development.
Oh, interesting. I don't know, but
I don't remember where I read that or whatnot, but it was like, and that there was something about that brain development that, like, we need those things for brain development, like, so our brains can function better. I always wonder, like, are we going to get to a point where balance is off more? Like, it probably
I would think so, just from staring at our phones and our screens, right? Like, we no longer, and I know, I mean, Mitch could talk about this, like, there has to be, something going on with the brain development, with the fact that we're not experiencing the presence. We're just constantly in front of the phone.
right. Yeah. And then there's a whole thing with your neck. I mean, there's so many different things. But all right, I could talk about this part but I have a question that I want to ask you about your trajectory, because it is not easy to have for lack of a better word, the rug taken out from underneath you.
Right.
So when Reebok gets sold, so how did you handle that transition? Because, I mean, obviously outside looking in, it was like smooth as silk, but I'm sure it wasn't. And I think this is something that our listeners, transition and changes happen in business. And I personally think that you did it beautifully.
Oh, well, thank you, Jaclyn. Isn't that the misleading conception of social media? Yeah, no, and yeah, and to add fuel to the fire, like, my daughter had a ski accident at the time. My mom died of a stroke, like, COVID hit. I think I think it really affected me. It's been humbling. I still ride an emotional roller coaster every day where I'm like, I want to fight the battle, and I want to make sure that, kids, all kids, especially those with, lack of access and needs, have the opportunity to play and move. And so, which reminds me, I want to tell you something a little boy told me once, which has always stuck with me, and I know that drives me to do what I do, but it has not been easy. It's been very humbling, and I question myself all the time. Like, why? I mean, yes, I just spent 2 days at the Aspen Institute Project Play Conference in Boston, and I have approached all of these businesses, whether it's Dick's or Adidas or New Balance or John Hancock. Like, I'm like, okay, here I have a plug and play model. Take it. It's yours. You don't have to use my name. You don't have to use that. You can change the name, but I've created something that grew as a sustainable, scalable, evidence-based program. And so I haven't had any traction. So it's funny because I feel like I have failed. And maybe that's why, because I feel like I failed kids and I failed a lot of my employees, that I didn't find a solution for us. When we built something I believe was so good. And so it's interesting that you think, and maybe that's the problem with social media, because it makes it look that way. But no, and I keep going until I feel like we have had success.
So, I would say that's the entrepreneur roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
You have, I would say, even though, maybe it was sold and the employees didn't have a place to go, you've done something that has made an impact. And so, and so you impacted, during those, whether it was between 2010 and 2022, the impact that you had on, how many kids, how many places, right? So that's huge success. So then you have a small shrink. It's like it's like you know, you realize something, but you're still going and you're still creating an impact. Just the impact's different.
It is different. And the thing that's frustrating to me is that I've heard, gosh, I can send you all these videos of the testimonials, but I think to myself, okay, if it was that good and I had so many parents, why is it still not going as strong? Why can't I find somebody to back it? Why aren't more parents doing it right now? So clearly I'm doing something wrong and not getting the message out or inspiring parents to bring this to their school, because all it takes, as you know, you volunteered and it was really fun to volunteer. Like, all it takes is 2 or 3 parents at a school to say, I want to do this before or after school, and you're doing it for the community. But it hasn't grown that way. I had more parents involved pre-COVID. And I don't think it's me alone. I know, speaking with the folks yesterday at Aspen Institute Project Play, like, I think a lot of nonprofits, whether it's Playworks or Girls on the Run, they all feel that way right now. Like, there's lack of parent engagement. There's lack of funders. We're getting hit by both sides.
Yeah. I would actually challenge you on that. I think actually that, we flip the switch and we think that you're doing something that is truly successful. I think one of the bigger issues, and I think this is the part where, it's a choice, right? It's what's the easiest road, right? And even though it's easy for what you're doing, think about food, right? God, you have a choice. You could go to McDonald's or make something at home, right? Like it's a choice. Like, how easy is it, to sometimes doing the right thing for health? When it comes to health, I think we're backwards. And
I do too. And why are parents like what? So in Natick, think about it, Jaclyn. In Natick, we had parent volunteers at all the schools. We had it 5 days a week at Memorial. We had well over 100 kids. Now they can't even find paid trainers sometimes. Like, and why is that? Like, if you knew you could give a child a pill and they'd be happier, healthier, they'd do better on tests, why are you not?
because it's not a pill. I personally think that we have, with advertising, sorry for all those people that are on GLP-1s, I think they can do great, but we need to educate people that we need to work. We need to work for results. and even though all the results show how well it does, it's still people being active. So if it's easier for me to give my kid a pill, I don't know, and it's education, right? Education, I think it's also how we grew up moving. We see that. And then we're shocked about the next multiple generations not moving
Yeah.
and the impact, you know, but this is where I would say keep going, keep moving, because no pun intended there, but because it is something that I think that, will get to be that change again and have that same volume of people. I think it comes to hitting the market, right? Where, and maybe hopefully with with the administration, I think also comes like top down. What happened during when the administration took all that stuff away? Again, what's the top doing, right? We all know about the CEO, right? The CEO is the one that can help dictate this stuff. So if we can get more people at the top thinking about it, maybe we're going to get greater movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. So that's my hope. I mean, we have so many things going on right now. And my hope is that we get some momentum with this administration and, the new call to the presidential youth fitness test, because the science is there.
Right. So what do you think you need to move it over the edge? Let's say people are listening and they're like, I love this idea. Kids are moving, scores are going up. I want to be involved. How can people move right now to either get involved? Is it getting involved? Is it donations? Like what would be the biggest driver? Like top three things.
Top three things. Number one, parents, bring the program to your school. Start with the functional fitness. Show up. Be part of the school day with your kids, whether it's before, during, or after. Like, show up. You don't have to be a sports trainer. Like, just do it. And it's so rewarding, and document the fun and the improvement. So, and share your stories, share them with us. Educate yourself, and yes, funding. I mean, we have no funders, so we're working on some, hopefully, but funding to help with curriculum design and providing stipend to low-income schools to run the program, and make it take on your responsibility to help your child. Like, this is one of the best gifts you can give, is the gift of movement.
Yeah.
And like, even little, go out. I mean, if it's not my program, like, go out after dinner, go for a walk around the block with your kids. Like, just
right.
move.
Yeah, just move.
And can I say one other thing, Jaclyn?
Yeah.
The other thing that drives me nuts, like at this conference, it was all about sports and the whole culture of club sports, and and that's this is the whole problem with the sports sector. And this is what Matt O'Toole and Uli Becker said early on, is that the sports sector has created a culture of spectators, and they need to create a culture of participants. In the US, our youth sport is insane. Like, yesterday they did a quote, which I thought was a little exaggerated, but they said that travel baseball can get up to $30,000 per year for a family. And like, stop having to do the elite sports. Just let kids be kids and play and find their inner athlete, and do, they don't have to specialize at age 8 and go do something. Just let them be an athlete. Let them go do a 5K and like have fun.
But but that's an interesting thing. How many 5K races have you seen go by the wayside, or even bike, fundraising guides, right? I mean,
Yeah. Although I have to say running has totally taken off. Did you know the London Marathon just had over 1.5 million people apply for it through their lottery? Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm pouring my water. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really fantastic. I know that
And
there's a race that's coming here that I had not seen. But, I just I guess I used to go online and I would see tons and tons of races. Um, and I don't see it as much here. Maybe it's just because I'm out in Nevada and we don't have it as much.
I think
Yeah.
it's your rhythms.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there are racing has definitely increased.
Which is great. But who's racing then? What's the age groups?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah.
Right? Because, youth sports is insane, right? As you were saying, like $30,000 for travel baseball. I actually wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I think about, even just the cost for, travel basketball from what we did. It's and getting kids, starting them, at focus and, oh my God, my kid's got to just be focused on one sport.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. One of the PE teachers just said to me that this generation of parents right now are so focused on being the best friends with their kids and making sure that they are an Olympic athlete and like that their kids love them instead of actually like making sure they're well-rounded and they're the guardian or the parent. They're not like,
Yeah,
but
you
it
have to
goes,
be a parent.
Jaclyn, it goes with I think that's a side effect of or a symptom of our technology. Everything's so, and now even with AI, everything's so fast. The parents just want to, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to make his lunch. I'm going to pack the car. I'm going to pick out his clothes. I'm going to, so it's like a weird, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting because I'm, and it's interesting. And I always feel like to say to parents, and not that I mean to compare my children to an animal, but I am going to, that if you're going to be a parent, get a dog. Because what does a dog need? A dog needs to be walked. If it doesn't, it gets in trouble, right? The dog needs to be walked. You need to take care of it, and you need to be alpha. You need to love it, but you also need to reprimand it. And you have to do the same thing with your children. I hate to say it, but yes, there's a point in time where you can be your child's best friend, but that's after, like, to me,
Yeah.
they moved out of the house. You can be their best friend, but you need to actually be the parent first.
Yeah.
But that's why I love what you're doing, because you're bringing, you're helping parents show their kids that how important movement is. And you're helping kids be better.
Yeah.
Even if it's, it's like the Star Wars, if you can do it for one person, you've made a difference.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel that way yet, but maybe.
Yeah, you are making a difference. So, Kathleen, tell everybody where they can connect with you, how they can go and learn more about Active Kids and get their schools signed up.
You can learn more at www.activekids.org. You can follow us on Instagram at Active Kids, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You will find a lot of our material is still box branded because I'm a one-man show with a few consultants. So, but yeah, we're still moving along here. So
that's awesome. All right, listeners, you got to do me a favor. You have to reach out and connect with Kathleen. activekids.org. It is actually one of the best programs that you can get your kids into. Trust me when I tell you this. Your kids will change, your life will change. Your kids they'll be thriving even more. So if you want your kids to thrive, get them involved. And then find out how you can get involved as a parent, because it is actually really fun to do things with your kids. That's part of memory making, and that's what we need to be doing. We need to be making memories with our kids, and you're getting them off screen. You get to move too. So connect with Kathleen, and then do me the other favor and making sure that you are subscribing to the podcast. And lastly, we have a brand new school community that's on the platform School, SKOOL. Please go over there to Unstoppable Success. Join our community. It is free right now for the last few days or few weeks. But jump on there, because we have great insights. We help you have unstoppable success, and we've got a lot of people in there that are wanting to help you be successful. Kathleen, I could talk to you for hours about this, so thank you for being on the podcast, and listeners, thank you for listening.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm Jaclyn Strominger, and I want to invite you to join the Unstoppable Success community on School. You can go to Unstoppable Success at school-9143 and join us. In this community, you will get daily tips so that you can be unstoppable, and you'll also connect with other leaders and professionals who are also aiming for their unstoppable success and are there to help you succeed. So join us in the community. We can't wait to see you on School.